Terrific. Then I'm going to start recording.
Cool.
How you doing, Danny?
Very good. Good to see you.
You're in, Danny. You're in the other room of our office here, and you're getting your what are you doing? You're getting your vehicle taken care of.
That's right.
What's going on there?
Always an adventure with a dogmobile. You have random repairs. This time it's getting my strut replaced.
Man, it's so. I mean, we spoke briefly last night, but before that, it's been a little time. And we're in Toronto right now, and we just Tuesday was our first time where we were kind of allowed to kind of go and do some dog walking again. How's that been for you? What's changed?
Well, I kind of did a soft start this week because it's taken a while for all the parks to coordinate and fully open. It's been a process, and also I was kind of concerned about unleashing all the dogs into a park full of other dogs, and all of them being anxious and excited to be at the park for the first time in months. So I kind of did a slow start this week with my higher energy dogs, and then next week it's going to be back to the park full blast. All my dogs in tow.
Have you seen any like hyper serious craziness? Like, has it been just a crazy Monday on a regular Monday? You know, dogs are just nuts back from the weekend. Has it been like that, or are you kind of surprised with how kind of calm some of the dogs have been?
From my experience, dogs been okay. I've been pleasantly surprised. I thought things would be a bit more anxious, but because I've had smaller groups this week, I've been able to change the venue from like a pen off leash area to going onto a trail or something open ended where seeing other people or other dogs, it's far less likely, and when it happens, it's a lot more relaxed.
I found the same thing. I've got two dogs that are generally crazy with their energy, and right now I'm just kind of obsessed with how unfortunate the shadowing is on my face and whatever. But we're not a professional outfit. We're just a couple of folks having some podcast fun. But Grover and Darby specifically, these guys are very high energy, and sometimes they can't calm themselves down, and so we need to we need to force rest and have them maybe Grover will come to my office and I'll shut the door and he'll just relax with me for a few hours. Like we're really big on rest, and a lot of dogs can manage their own like stuff on their own, but Grover can't. But he was back Wednesday, Thursday this week, and he was perfect. And really? I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. Is COVID good for him? The COVID era. I don't know. And same with Darby. Darby's not. I'm like he's really subdued, and so I'm kind of. It's kind of freaking me out a bit. But yeah, it's not predictable like I would have thought.
Yeah, no, I think you might be onto something. I think my high energy dog, Black Lab mix, he's I think he's super grateful to be back at the park, and maybe it's because of that he's on his best. He's on better behavior right now and not taking things for granted. So
it's the biggest time out ever.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Oh, that's hilarious. So how have you guys been? You and your wife been generally throughout this whole thing? Like what have you been doing? Like you haven't been working. I think that's what you have not been doing since the 24th of March.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. So I've been taking care of stuff at home, doing errands at home, basically, doing paperwork stuff, taxes, and doing some repairs and so on. But yeah, it's been like a forced vacation. Been reading. I tried a bit to write. It was kind of challenging to do, but
to write.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like journaling and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. How about
Like,
you?
oh man, I mean, similar. I chose to keep about 8 dogs. There was like we had a lot of clients that still wanted walks, and so we asked our employees. We've been asking our employees since probably second week of March. We kept asking them like, so this is what you need to do. This is the precautions. We kind of followed along with the WHO and said, are you feeling safe? If you're not feeling safe, let us know. And it was like, yes, yes. Every single day it was unanimous. Yes, yes, we're good. Yes, we're good. And then 25th, 24th of March, it was, don't really feel safe. I'm like, okay, no problem. So everyone, it was like all in one day, everyone left, went home, and we, that was before CERB, right? That was before there was any guarantee. So
Yeah.
they really felt unsafe. Like, it wasn't like, some people could be, I just don't feel like working and getting free money kind of thing. Like, that wasn't like that. It was, they just didn't feel safe. So we let them go, and we chose to keep 8 dogs that I thought I could do myself. And we had to do a lot of the distancing, no notebooks, no one around, washing my hands constantly, that type of thing. I felt pretty safe doing that, going along with the WHO, but who knows? Anyway, so we've been doing that. My wife's been at home with the kids, the boys. She's been just crushing it. She's been amazing.
I'm good.
And then Netflix, tons of Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Have you seen the Last Dance?
I started watching it. Yeah. I think I've watched 2 episodes of it. Yeah.
I didn't think it was possible that you could watch an episode and not finish it. You're the one person I've met, the only person on the planet that can do that.
I find Michael Jordan has a huge ego. It's basically it was interesting understanding how Michael Jordan came into the NBA and what the team looked like at the beginning. And
hold on. Say something again.
Um,
No, something's going on.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Oh, now I can.
Okay.
But it was like really loud and crazy, and I'm.
Oh, okay. No, I was just saying, like, I liked understanding how he came into the NBA, what he was like when he was younger, but what he was like at the end of his career, even though he was supremely talented, understanding what fueled his ego, and basically it was an exercise of, okay, he has to make his ego as large as possible in order to succeed. I found that to be, I don't know. Not so
turned off.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's but how familiar were you with MJ before all of this? Like, I mean, obviously, I knew who he was, but I didn't watch a single Bulls game ever.
Oh, really?
I was all about hockey growing up in that era, and I kind of regret, because it was such a dynamic team, at that time, and I just missed out on all of that. But were you familiar with that? Like, did you watch some games? Did you see him and were like, yeah, he's an arrogant guy, I don't really like him? Or were you watching the documentary and going, he seems arrogant, I don't want to watch this anymore?
Well, so when I was watching it as a high schooler in real time, I did not see the ego. I saw the talent, and I appreciated all that.
Yeah.
It was like when he got older, especially that interview that he had where he started crying like nuts when talking about haters. I thought, man, this guy is so full of himself. I'm not taking away from his talent. I just, I don't like someone, basking in their ego, basically.
You think the ego is unnecessary?
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it's unnecessary. It's just the way he was talking, as if there was no room for someone to have a different opinion or to
right.
Everyone has to love you. It's like, no, that's not reality. Like, it's not everything is about you, and that's what ego is all about.
It is all about, what do you mean it's not all about me? Anyways, I see that for sure. I kind of like related. So I started watching on Tuesday morning. I was like, I'm going to watch a couple episodes, and then I couldn't stop. and I crushed it the whole day, all 10
Oh,
episodes.
yeah.
So Tuesday was a complete write-off. And part of me, I'm watching this going, like, I want this to be over so that I can actually get back to life again. For some reason, I just could not put the damn thing down. But yeah, I see that. I kind of relate it almost to like Steve Jobs a bit. Like, the way that people spoke about MJ was similar. Like, I don't know if you read Steve Jobs' book.
Yeah.
Was it a biography or autobiography? I think it was a biography. Anyways, he pushed people, and he was an asshole, and he was like really hard on people. Sometimes it's seemingly unnecessarily, but in that process also helped people find a gear they never otherwise would have found, it seems. And they're forever changed from that for the better. Now, obviously, there's probably some trauma that we're not hearing about that was caused as well. But I feel that, like with Steve Jobs, that was a lot of the feedback as well. But I went and looked up Steve Kerr because I didn't know who he was, but I recognized his face because I'm not a basketball guy. But I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy that coaches Golden State. And I found that when he joined Golden State, that was the first year Steve Curry won MVP. So when I said to someone like, wow, I can't believe it. He's been to the finals 8 times and won 5 or something like that. It was, I can look it up in a little bit, but it was basically, he hasn't not been in the finals. He only knows success, the Steve Kerr guy. Can't help but wonder how much of that influence was from the Bulls. And that's got to be everything to do with that.
Yeah.
Someone said, well, he has a good team, Steve Curry and stuff. But Steve Curry didn't win the MVP until he came there. So it's hard to see who's causing what, but there's definitely association. And then Phil Jackson, my God, that guy, nuts. Joins the Bulls, 3 years in a row wins, 2 years off, another 3 years win, leaves this next very year, 3 more years he wins with the Lakers, and a couple of years off. Like to me, it's just, I guess I'm like obsessed with like victory and championships and success. Like because it's a certain breed of, I don't know if it's a certain breed of people or a certain kind of a mindset that goes along with that you see in a lot of other places, not just them, but like Tiger Woods and a lot of other like people that have a lot of success in having to overcome adversity to get that. It's like the same type of people. Anyways, I'm obsessed with that kind of stuff.
No, there's big value in generating, like understanding how to generate fire, right? To generate the hunger, and ego is certainly one way to do it. And yeah, that was what I inferred from.
That's a good point. Generating, a lot of things that I found that Michael Jordan did was something that would be said. And me, I would think if someone said that about me, I'd be like, whatever. He was like, that's personal. That's offensive. And now my entire series is going to be dedicated around that sentence.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Where did you get to that? But like, he was able to get to these levels through like personal offense sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
By being compared to just a regular superstar. Like, it wasn't like he was being compared to like, a bad player. Anyways, so that was a really good point. Anyways, Danny, welcome to the show. Podcast number 1. How am I doing so far?
Doing great, Rob.
I feel like I'm too relaxed sometimes. But so, Danny, how do I pronounce your name? Ballarino?
Yes.
Ballarino. What is that Italian?
It's Italian. My dad's from Sicily.
Sorry, who's from Sicily?
My dad. My dad
is, yeah. Okay, very cool. So so how did you get into dog walking?
So I was I was working in corporate. I was an inventory planner analyst for 15 years and worked in various consumer packaged goods companies, and decided I would like to make a change and get into dog walking, something that got me outdoors with nature, with animals. Yeah, it was a process that I would say it was about 2-3 years before the end, before making the transition, where I was really seriously thinking about it.
How many years?
2-3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
The idea came in your head. Was it just like it just came in your head, or did you see someone, or you walk in someday and like, I probably could do this?
It was, my aunt, she has been a dog walker for 15 years, 20 years.
That's right.
Yeah, so I was exposed to the idea through her. And so that was always on the back of my mind. Like, I always liked it. When I thought about it, I thought this is that would be a great occupation to be in. And so when it was coming up again and again and again, then I started to really put serious time and effort into investigating and planning for it.
Okay, so Danny, you own a company called Social Tales, and why are you in my market? I'm just kidding. Well, how did you come up with the name Social Tales? Like,
I thought that the business it spoke to the business I was trying to create, which was to create value added social encounters for animals, for dogs. And so I thought it and then the wordplay on tails and tails I thought was fun to me. It was clever.
yeah, it's awesome. Like when I first heard about Social Tales, I don't know how long we've known each other. I don't know, 5 years, 4 years, 3. I don't even know. Lost track. But I heard Social Tales. I was like, no, that's brilliant. I get everything about it. I know everything about what they're doing there. There's another one. Oh, the dog bus. That's not quite so good. But there's a lot of funny names in the dog walking world. So okay, so it took 3 years to actually decide that you're going to be a dog walker, or 3 years to get to being a dog walker. Like,
it was at 3 years before inception of the business. I definitely did not have it like as a firm plan. I was starting to think about it more seriously, and then I'd say within the last year, it was definitely it was a real plan of mine. It was just a matter of when I was going to do it.
so what was dependent on the when? Why not like right now?
So what happened was they laid off all the Toronto staff. They closed down the Toronto office, and I was like, okay, this is perfect. This is the opportunity I was looking for. Let's make the switch now.
Right. Perfect timing. Okay.
Yeah.
Was there any fear or any uncertainty or doubt?
Oh yeah, there was all that stuff. Yeah. But I was just like, just do the work, stick to the plan, keep moving, keep active. I didn't think that things were just going to fall in my lap. I was big into, grinding for the first bit, especially.
What was the biggest challenges you found?
I would say client acquisition took longer than expected. I thought it would come a lot quicker, a lot sooner. But I realized I found out, through time and experience that it takes a long time, and the first few clients that come on board are so valuable to foster, maintain, and build up, so that you have then a solid foundation of reputation established that you can then go to other prospects and say, look, you know what, I'm good, I'm legit. Here's all my qualifications and skills, and here are some testimonials, some references from others.
Oh my God, it's the amount of confidence that is different from your first meet and greet, or your first, like, I'm fighting for some business here, to like your third or fourth, all the way up to like even like any time in the future. One success makes a profound difference to your confidence, eh?
Yeah, it's true.
My God. So how are you getting clients? What was your strategy?
So I that was a great learning for me, and it's something I kind of went about it like, oh, I'll put ads in the newspaper. Oh, I'll
You put it in the newspaper.
Yeah. Oh, it was the local newspaper, Scarborough Mirror or something like that.
Wait, what year was this when you kind of started?
2015, 2014, around there. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay.
Anyway, I would not recommend that. That wasn't really effective for me. I also did flyering, not effective. Um, I found making relationships with other dog walkers was very valuable because inevitably, a lot of dog walkers were at capacity, and they would be uh, they were happy to pass along referrals if they knew that you were a good person. Another thing I did too, which I found helpful, was visiting parks on the weekend, to visit people that would not be there during the week or otherwise. And, if the situation lended itself to it, have conversations with them, let them know what I did. And yeah, I had some good results from that as well.
So how was there any kind of memorable moments at the start, interactions with dog walkers or owners that whether it was like amazingly good or unfortunately disappointing?
Um, yeah, I guess there were some that were both. I think by and large, most of them, most folks in the business are pleasant people, and uh, yeah, they were happy to help me out and give me pointers whenever I asked for their suggestions or recommendations. But you always have a few that are very selfish and not wanting to interact, and yeah, that's just human nature.
Yeah, I know. Do you remember the first interaction with our crew at all? 'Cause you're
Um,
mostly in Warden, I think.
yeah, I think it was Warden. Yeah.
Mostly Warden. All I remember one time, I don't know how early this was in our friendship or not, but it was Andrea told me that one of our dogs destroyed your dog bowl in the park or something.
Oh yeah, it
He
was yeah.
got really mad at her. I'm like, what's he doing bringing a dog bowl in the park?
Yeah,
But no, it was obviously we did have some pretty crazy dogs too sometimes.
yeah, that's true. It was,
Um,
I learned something from that event as well. Yeah.
what do you think some of your best decisions were?
Um, keeping overhead as low as possible. I think I originally had plans to have a place and do daycare and all that stuff, or maybe have other walkers with me as well. And I opted to keep it simple, keep it scaled to just myself, and uh, that's been the right call for me, the right choice.
Keeping it lean,
Yeah,
smaller. Why
yeah.
is that?
Because I think understanding myself, I what my strengths and my weaknesses.
Yep.
My strength is not to manage a whole bunch of people or have to deal with a ton of logistics. Like I can deal with some of it, but I don't. I'm I'm not big into. I can't. I'm not comfortable scaling up. It's not fun for me.
It's not my strength either, Danny. Come on.
Yeah, yeah, right, Rob.
No, it really isn't. Um, but still, I really like that though because like you were intensely aware of your strengths and weaknesses, and you incorporated that into your execution. And I find a lot of times, people that start out will kind of spray and pray, and they're like, and it's not just necessarily about what type of company I want to be, but they don't actually consider the type of clients that they want to have. And they're just like 2 feet in a heartbeat. I'm in. I want you. I want you. I want you. And before you know it, their geographic location is just expanded too big. It's taken too long to get to from one client to another. They're priced at dirt cheap prices because they're scared they need to get filled up. And I don't know. I just feel like since like I joined, so you're an independent dog walker, as they call in the industry, and my company is an employer, but we used to be an independent dog walker. My wife started it. When we joined and moving forward and growing, I've learned that I personally feel that independent dog walkers need to be more protective of their resources than anyone else, because you can only do 18 dogs in a day. You can't, I mean, in terms of groups, like, I mean,
That's
you're
right.
not going to be, it's not realistic. So like, if you start getting 10 dogs and you're charging like $18 or $16 a walk, when you get filled up, there's no one that can pay you $25 or $22 or anything like that. Like you're kind of, so then you got to have those unfortunate conversations. It's challenging. I mean, you got to have them anyways, but it's always challenging to ask for more money. But it's easier to just say no logistically to the client or charge more, but it's harder because you're like, starting out, I want as many clients. When I joined, to be honest, I didn't actually envision, I was like, I hope this works. Like I didn't really fully envision being able to fill me up that fast with 18 dogs.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I can imagine that's what a lot of independent dog walkers are like, I
Yeah.
don't know if I even have the confidence that this is going to work.
Yeah.
And that's why I think leads to unnecessarily lower prices. But a lot of people don't consider the clients they want to be with, and they end up taking a lot of clients that they don't really in sync with their values, and they have to deal with dicks a lot of the times.
Yeah.
I don't know if if that's that, but it sounds like you were very intentional when you started. That this, I know what my strengths and weaknesses are, and I'm going to integrate that in the core of my operations.
It was a so to be fair, that wasn't something that I had 100% at the beginning. And to your point, I did bring on dogs that I had to drop down the road, but it was a learning experience. Every experience was a learning experience. I got to learn more about myself, about dogs, and about what I wanted and what I didn't want. So it's a journey, and that's why I wasn't married to a particular. Having to make a particular dog or situation work per se. If I thought, you know what, this is not working out, I would redirect. I would change things up.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, you really are forced into it. You really have to. Every decision you make literally impacts everything about your life, because it's
Yeah.
your life's being funded by this operation. And
Yeah.
so you do like, there's a lot of bad things that happen. It's not really bad. It's just, you're right, learning experiences, and you sometimes forced out of your comfort zone to do things. Firing a client, my God, that first time I had to do that was so like probably took weeks for me to actually do it. I was such a
Well, yeah.
pussy about it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that was a very tough thing for me as well. Yeah, I learned a lot of lessons too about. I let it go a little too late, and
Oh, yeah.
after that I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna do next time. It's gonna be earlier and it's gonna be better for both parties involved. Like it, yeah, another lesson learned.
Why is it like, for me, a lot of the time when it was just the two of us, my wife and I, it was like there's one client in particular I can remember where we constantly talked about this person should get fired. We love the dog. It's always hard when you love the dog, but they were every day, and you're just like, man, times 5, times 50 weeks a year, times whatever. You're like, oh my God, this is worth so much money. Why are we not like? Why am I so tied to that calculation instead of the calculation where it's like, how many days or weeks does it take to replace that client? Like, it shouldn't be about how much they spend a year. That should be a given, and it should
Yeah,
be how long it takes to replace them, and it should never be hesitate to get rid of bad people. So weird how that can just tie you down for so long sometimes.
absolutely. Perspective is everything. Yeah.
So how important, so like, let's say someone's starting brand new today, or if they're contemplating, I want to get into dog walking. Where do you think dog walking's headed? Do you think it's a good industry to get into right now?
Yeah, I would say it's a good industry, though. It's important to have a realistic idea as to what your income will be and what market you're in. Like in Toronto, for example, it is expensive to live here. You're looking at $2,000 a month for rent, and then you have your utilities and your car and your insurance. It's expensive, so you have to look at the numbers and crunch it. And I would say one thing in beginning is not to have your eggs in some other basket as well. Like for me, for example, dog walking was, when I went into dog walking, that was my goal. My intent was to make it work and have it be my primary source of income and focus. But I also had other sources of income. So things were slow at the beginning. I wasn't as stressed because I had other sources of income to
Yeah.
stress. And I think a lot of people starting off might not think that way. And if you were putting all your eggs in that basket, that might be a little foolhardy. You have to think as if you got to be hungry and look for other options as well to help with the awkward first opening of the business.
Do you remember how you found your first client?
It was it was a former coworker. It was my previous job. He lived in the area. He got a black lab puppy, and he gave me a call. That's literally how it happened. So it was from a previous job. Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Jeepers. So how long would you say someone needs to realistically give? How many months of no or low income before they start earning something that makes sense?
Um, I would say at least 6 months, probably a year.
And what do you think is the minimum amount of dogs needed for that to be considered we're safe? Not good, but we're safe.
As far as income is concerned,
Yeah. How many dogs do you think that is?
at least 12. At least 12. 18 likely is I think you need to be at capacity in Toronto to make a decent living
Right.
relative to the expenses out there.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so now, do you intentionally set out like the type of people you want to do business with? Do you visualize, like, do you do any visualization, like how you want your day to kind of go? Um, like,
Yeah, I do some. I personally meditate in the mornings, and I have an agenda. I'll write in it the things I wanted to do to hit, um, and having intention is important for sure.
that's something that I wish I had implemented in my life long time ago. I do meditate quite a bit now, and I journal quite a bit, but and it's makes a profound difference. It's one of those things where it's like you don't necessarily notice its impact right away, but when you take it away, you're like, oh my God, what was I doing? I need to get that back in there. Yeah, for sure. It's just being able to see yourself doing something, but also the meditating part is just kind of clearing a lot of clutter out. I guess if one word, it's different for everyone. For me, one word about meditating and its impact for me is clarity. What is it for you?
Yeah, I would say the same. It quiets my mind. I'm more aware. I perceive how my body's feeling and the changes that will happen when I might eat something in particular, or what I'm feeling while reacting to something external stimuli. Um, and then I find with it cuts down the background chatter in my mind big time too. So I don't have I don't have I'm able to focus. I'm able to really engage in the topic or the task that I'm doing.
How long do you meditate for?
30 minutes.
Oh, that's incredible. I'm trying this thing where in between tasks, like minor tasks. So I'll set myself to work for an hour. I'll just crush a bunch of email, or I'm going to write something, or do whatever it is I'm doing. I got a timer on my phone. It beeps when I'm done. And then, I go up and get a break, and then I come back and I sit down and meditate for like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, like just micro, just so I can reset my attention and just kind of segment my day. So I'm not trigger stacked the whole day, and that kind of works for me. But 30 minutes for me, I just don't do. That's pretty long. I do occasionally hit my 15 minutes in the mornings. Not as much as I'd like, but that's incredible. 30 minutes. How long have you been doing that?
15 years. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Rob, what was it? Did you ever have any profound experiences through meditation?
Yes, but not like, well, I feel like they wouldn't be earth shattering to anyone else, but like for me, I get some pretty pretty good inspiration. Like it's just ideas will come
Right.
that I feel wouldn't have otherwise come. My mind is still. See, that's my 35-minute mark. I just wanted to remind myself when we've been talking for 35, but I feel like when I can get still, and it's like 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes in, whatever. I don't always, but every once in a while I get I'm like, wow, that's something, that's a way to solve a particular problem that I think is innovative. And I just don't, it feels like it's outside of me. Like it doesn't feel like something I'm capable of coming up with on my own, kind of thing, It's just, so so I'm pretty impressed so I meditate not just because of that, but because in general it feels beneficial. But that I do get some stuff. How about you?
Yeah, I've had a couple of early on, especially. I had a couple of out of body experiences through meditation, which was crazy.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, when I find the quality of a meditation cycle will be largely dependent on what I've eaten, or have I had a really good exercise the same day or in the last 24 hours. I find those two variables make a big impact as to how deep I can go in my brainwaves, kind of deal.
out of body experiences. Talk about that a bit. What do you mean?
No, I had my eyes were closed, and then I felt the sensation that I was leaving the body. I was it felt I was as if I was looking down at my body. I was breathing, and the breathing function was entirely with the body and not with me, and then my consciousness was floating above. It only lasted for about 5 seconds or so, and then I started to get anxious and freak out, and then reintegrated.
I've heard that before, and I've read about that. Um, that's cool. I'm kind of jealous, but no, there's no need to be jealous. Just meditate.
But yeah, I have not been able to replicate it for the last 10 years. I've never gotten that deep. But
Wow.
one thing I would say on the topic of meditation that I found to be a very effective tool. There's a tool out there called Muse, Muse.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar.
Yeah, and I've tried it, and I find it effective. It is a band that goes around your head. It reads your brain waves, and I found it very effective in guiding me to the optimum brain frequency, and I was able to stay there. So I got into deep meditation relatively quick, and I was able to stay there because I had that external stimulus. They provide you with a sound that is dynamic depending on whether or not you're in the optimum frequency.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I was in 30 minutes of deep meditation, and when I came out, that was probably the best meditation I had for 5 years. It was really, really effective.
I looked at that. It's out in Best Buy.
Yeah.
Well, I saw it in an ad. I can't remember. And I was like, oh, bullshit. And I walked on. But you think it's amazing. I haven't tried it. I don't know why I would have just judged it like that.
I was skeptical about it too. And then
but that's so you own one.
I do not. I have my friends. I borrowed that before COVID, and yeah. It's like I pirated music, and I'm saying I love an artist. No,
Sorry, you can't come pick it up. I've touched it.
that's right.
How important do you think when someone's starting up, how important are websites? Because I know a lot of folks that are starting a business, like a dog walking business, and they stress a lot on the website component. How important are websites when
Yeah,
you
it's a good question, Rob. I think it's not as important as it once was. I think that now there's various tools out there that you can say, okay, I'm going to be on this platform and have state my values on this platform. Facebook can be one, Instagram can be another. Um, but I think I have my own standalone website. It served me well. People do go there, but it's a launching pad to my presence elsewhere. I don't sweat about it too much at all. Like it's a very basic website, and then I have links to my profile on Google, on Facebook, on Instagram for people to check out.
Yeah, I don't know. I question it. I used to think it was really important, but I mean, when we started to really build out our website, I mean, even when Liz was by herself and I was still doing the website, that was like 2010, or 2000, like latter part of 2010. Like there wasn't like Facebook was around, but it wasn't like it was new, and it
Right.
wasn't like it was websites, all websites. But now, like our website has like I think there's like 3 broken links on it, and like I don't even I like to test human behavior a lot. Like I like to see, I'm obsessed with that, and so I'm like I'm looking as an opportunity to test, and I'll see people go, hey, your website's whatever, but it doesn't impact the number of leads that we still get. People don't go to the website and go, oh, broken link, screw this company,
Right.
like I thought they would. I'm astounded at how many people just ignore the broken links. And it's like, not only is it a broken link, but it gets like, I have it on debug mode. So when they get the broken link, it shows where in the code is wrong and all that stuff. So that must get even more, I would think it would turn people off even more, but it just doesn't seem to have an impact at all. And so I haven't touched our website in a long time. It saves me a lot of that time and energy.
Yeah.
It's all social now.
Yeah.
All friggin' social and Insta and Facebook. I don't touch Twitter. You touch Twitter?
No, no, I did not touch
I don't
Twitter.
do. I mean, I do have a Twitter account, but it's not for professional content. That's for sure. It's
Yeah.
just a listener. I just like to consume information. Sorry,
Yeah.
and
Get
stuff.
opinions and news. Yeah. Yeah.
Twitter's Twitter is crazy. It's warfare out there, but
Yeah.
it's different. So Facebook and Insta, which is funny because they're the same damn thing or same company. In that, we don't do LinkedIn. Do you do LinkedIn?
No, no.
Don't do any LinkedIn. No, not at all. At all. Do you do any mailing lists? Do you do e-blasts and stuff like that?
No, I flirted with the idea of that, but no, I've not done that.
Well, how is it then? If you're going to give everyone an update on what's going on, do you just like text everyone or do you email everyone individually?
No, no, I should restate then. So I have done some blasts, but I find that if for reopening and coming up with the plan to reopen, I wanted to personalize it for every household so that I would give a recommendation. I would mention the dog, mention them by name. I found that to be uh, better. I thought that would be more personalized, more value added.
Yeah, no, it probably is. It's probably way value add. So I'm curious. I want to get your thoughts on the app companies like Rover, Wag.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What do you think the future is there? Are you concerned that you'll lose clients?
I think some might go there, but I think by and large, the client base that I have is extremely loyal because they see the value that I bring to the table. Like, um, yeah, you can get someone who does it cheaper, And I do like the rating system that, some of them has, and the mapping and so on. But I think it's a huge ask to give someone the keys to your home and say, come in, not only come into my house, but take my dog, and to trust that the dog is being cared for well and coming back home safely and having a great time out is a big ask. Like, those are the kind I'm interested in, the clients that see the value in that and are willing to partner up with me for the long haul. And I think those other sites have people that like the one-offs. My feeling, and I don't have any data to base it on, but my feeling is those kind of platforms are better for the one-offs, so for the casual user who is very much of a bottom line kind of consumer.
I always, whenever I start a project of any sort, I usually like to try and start with the end user and their experience, and then build out from there. And I'm having a hard time profiling the end user that right now, and I'm not to say they don't serve a need. Obviously they do. They're big. But I know that if I swap one of my dog walkers for a day, I'm going to hear about it from my clients. Now, they're not necessarily going to be angry about it, but they are going to inquire.
Right.
Same company, same recruitment, same onboarding, same philosophies, pretty much we're at the service their dog is going to experience is as close to the same as you can get, and I'm still going to hear about it. I cannot imagine our clients going, I'm okay with anyone coming in.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just find anybody to come in. I don't know if that's what it is, but it feels like the target market for WAG and Rover are those that are not overly concerned with or maybe not concerned, but maybe they don't understand the difference in experience for the dog in having a relationship with the dog walker, or having, because if you have the same dog walker, why are you using Rover? Why would you use Rover if you're going to hire the same person over and over and over and over again? This doesn't make any sense for anyone involved. In my opinion, I could be wrong, but that's how I look at it. It's only for those who don't need a relationship with the dog walker. Is that right?
Yeah, but to be devil's advocate, that it could be a good avenue if you're a new dog walker to get quick clients.
100%. But then your goal is to bring them off of Rover.
Yeah,
to do your own thing.
Yeah.
Which then, how does that benefit Rover? Like, Rover would obviously have to have thought about that. That would be my first thing, is how do I keep everyone together? So I don't like, yeah, I mean, obviously if you're starting out, actually Emily that you met, she worked for Rover, or she was on Rover.
Oh yeah.
But then she came to us and wanted a job here. And then she took one of her clients, brought over here. But then we couldn't keep them, but still, not because of Rover, just because behavior stuff. But her experience wasn't great. I don't know how that is for everyone, but the owner approached her, owner of the dog approached her and said, why don't we go off of Rover? And so she was kind of afraid because she didn't want to break rules and stuff like that, because she's a good person. But I think that behavior from that client is a normal behavior from anyone who wants the same dog walker all the time. They just don't need Rover anymore.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm still kind of up in the air about who that end user that they're going with. It's either people that don't care about, either they think all dog walkers are the same, doesn't really matter, dog's not going to get impacted by different dog walkers, who cares, or they're just not aware that such a thing exists. I think, but I could be wrong. Anyway, but you're not concerned, because I'm not concerned, because I feel my clients are like really ravenous fans of my dog, of their dog walker that they get.
Right. And I would say the same. I would say that my clients are very appreciative, very loyal, and this whole COVID thing as a test. I haven't lost a client. And several clients have had reduced work.
You've been doing well. You're right. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah, no, I've been impressed with the numbers you're telling me. You got a lot of fit folks coming back.
Yeah, and, it's definitely a reduction, but relatively speaking, in aggregate, it's definitely livable, and I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, and of course, there's luck involved with everything, but you also create your own luck. And so a lot of times, I hear people, and they're still getting their clients coming back. I feel that that's a manifestation of like relationship cultivating type work, and just being outstanding in general with that. And it also comes down to like choosing your clients. Like you're talking about your target market, and kind of choosing people carefully. I remember being in a meeting once, and I had one of my dog walkers with me just so they can get some experience. And they wanted us. The dog was nice, and I decided that we weren't going to take the client on. And the dog walker asked me why, because they wanted us, and I'm like, yeah, but I could tell in 5 minutes they couldn't care less about canine enrichment. They couldn't care less about how we architect our groups based on behavior. They don't care about any of the differentiating factors that we bring. So when it comes time to so we could get offset easily at a moment's notice. Like
Yeah.
they just wanted someone to alleviate their guilt from not walking their own dog or something like that. They didn't
Right.
care about anything. And so I was like, no, we're not going to do that. But a lot of folks have a lot of those clients. And now there's some kids home, and now the kids are walking the dogs, but the dog's not getting the same thing. And I do have clients. They're like, yeah, my kids are home, and they're not on every day. Like you're saying, like some of them are reduced, but we want them to still get what Wolf's gives. Or,
Yep.
you guys, we need, my dog still needs a little bit of what you guys bring. So let's do 2 or 3 times a week. And I know those clients that I mentioned beforehand probably wouldn't be, I don't know, I'm guessing, I'm speculating, but.
No, I agree. Totally. Yeah.
So.
It's about all the effort and time that's been invested proactively by good dog walker, dog business for sure.
So is there any journals or publications that you kind of tune into that you read, even whether it's a website or physical?
That's dog related? No.
Anything? No, just anything.
Oh. New York Times. I read the New York Times. I'll do CNN International, not CNN domestic. I find them it's very different. CNN America is very tabloidish, whereas International I find to be very informative and broad. I do there's websites like Slate or I'm a big podcast listener.
Who's your go-to podcast listens?
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. I like his style, and I like his guests. He brings on some very interesting guests. Mark Maron, What the Fuck? Very good interviews there as well. He's been around for a while. New York Times has a couple of very interesting ones. I like one called The Argument. And what I like about The Argument is that it's a 3-person panel, all New York Times employees. And one's left politically, one's center politically, one's right politically. And they all have, it's a civil conversation with different points of view on topics that are in the news. It's very enjoyable for me. However, they get along. They might not agree on stuff, but they all have enough mutual respect and patience to listen to the other person's point of view and have a conversation based off of it.
I think there's a lot missing in objective opinion. Trying to find, especially now in COVID, You know, like, oh my God, is Tam ruining our country or is she okay? The CDC, can you trust them? Can you trust the WHO? I don't know who to trust. It's, it's crazy. So, but there's strong opinion. And so I think it's tough. So having that would be interesting, like having three different points of view, but on a non-heated, non-emotional, objective discussion is that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and they talk about inflammatory or potentially inflammatory stuff. They do talk about things relating to Trump or to COVID and so on, but it's never gets to a point of yelling or I'm dismissing your stuff out of hand. Like it's not as if I agree, but it's a great model for how we as a society should be about talking to others, and I think it's good to talk to others constructively with different points of view, because I'm better understanding the whole entire spectrum allows one to better serve others as well.
How do I spell Marc Maron?
MARC and MARON.
ARON. Okay, Mark C. Yeah, on that. That's interesting. Yeah, that's cool. I think we're just coming up. So, what are you? Any projects you're working on?
Well, nothing big. I'm going to do some upgrades to my vehicle potentially. I'm looking at 360 camera installation. So it's a 4-camera install, and it has a mini computer that puts it all together into a bird's eye view. So it also records. I'm big on, I recommend to everyone, get a dash cam, have at least a front facing dash cam. But the next step up obviously would be, I guess, a front and a back. But the one I'm looking at is front, back, and sides. And so I plan to purchase that in the near future and install that in my car.
That's because you get expensive vehicles.
Well, my dogmobile is coming up to 11 years old. It's good. But I we're big on being on the road all the time, right? I'm sure I'm not the only one who gets in a lot of near misses with other drivers and stuff.
It's nuts. I think that we have had 6 vans written off.
Wow.
And not one of them was our fault, deemed by cops or insurance. It was always people just hitting people. Like, yeah. It's crazy how bad people are out there. Just gets crushed. Fortunate that it was deemed that we didn't need video and all that kind of stuff. But like what you're doing is, I think we're going to start looking at that. It's so hard to justify with our vans. Vans are like $2,500. They're just dirt cheap, like
yeah.
On that. But still, like, it's still nice to know that. Hey, I wanted to actually ask you, you mentioned, I think you have like a previous relationship, or you knew, or you worked with Dauber Sports.
Oh yeah.
The guy from Dauber Sports.
Yeah, back in the day, I worked with the founder, Daryl Dobbs. We worked at a fragrance company out at Yonge and Eglinton for a couple of years, and I witnessed him leaving. No, he left just after I left the company, and he went into Dauber Sports full time.
And his name is Dobbs, not Dauber.
Dobbs, Dobbs is his last name.
Okay, interesting. Did you guys talk like sports all the time or something, or did you just know of him?
He was more into sports than I was, and especially hockey. That was his core. That's what he started things off in, and he was big into to the numbers, and it lent itself well to what his role was with the company. He was the chief architect for data, sales data for the company, and he built a lot of the systems and the tables in place in order to analyze the data. So it was fun. I got to use the tables myself after he left.
Right.
Yeah, it was very it was a great learning for me.
Did you guys discuss so you weren't even into sports at the time?
not as heavily as he was. So we would have some conversations, but he would be speaking on a different level. And I respected that level, but I could not share that level.
Right. And but he was talking about this project or that he was starting, or was that just out of the blue?
No, it was, I think, something that was brewing in his mind for some time, and he started working on it in earnest, in concert with the job that he was currently in.
Right.
It was a passion project of his, and I'm really happy that it's worked out for him. He's a great guy, and he's really put the effort and the work into making it a success.
Well, I'm a client. I buy all their
Yeah.
prospect stuff that comes out always. I think their website could use a little work, but I like the actual product that you buy is very nice. And wow, has fantasy sports ever taken a hit, eh?
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
in the moment of like championship season, like
Yes.
the playoff season. I think we got like one playoff round in, and all of a sudden, boom, done. No hockey.
Yeah. Hockey and NBA both
No
stopping.
NBA.
Yeah.
And I think of the people that made trades that gave away their future for a shot at this, it's like, man,
Yep.
you don't get a redo.
Yeah, it's a great point. I was thinking about in baseball, the Stroman trade, and the fact that, you know what, all things considered, it was nice that had happened earlier than it did. That we didn't hold on to him and try to trade him later on. I think
Yeah,
that's radically different.
it's amazing. Yeah, how a lot of that. Wow. Anyways, that's crazy stuff. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up here. I really appreciate you coming on and having a chat. I'm sure we'll be on here a little bit more often than that.
It was fun, Bob.
Uh,
Thanks for having me.
Pardon?
It was fun. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
absolutely. It was totally fun. If I can figure out this shadow thing eventually, I think it might be okay. Okay, what's your website?
Socialtales.ca.
How am I spelling tails? AI? Your volume went out all of a sudden. I'm ending it now. Later.